May I remind you that trading is risky and not suitable for everyone. Your past performance, good or bad, is not necessarily indicative of future results. Please stay small, stay humble, focus on the long term, and never risk money you cannot afford to lose. Welcome to QuantBox Daily. Today is Friday, December 2nd. All right, my friends, hello and good day. Let's take a look at QuantBox. The same as yesterday, we'll go pair. So starting with euro dollar, neutral on QuantBox. Okay, so more importantly, what news do we have coming up today? Some medium, low, and high tier news coming out of various European countries. Some low tier news. Let's continue. Some more low tier news, high and medium. And then we've got non-farm payrolls. Okay, that's the big event for today. All right. Now, if you are a dollar bear, i.e., if you're buying euro dollar, if you're buying pound dollar, then you want a soft jobs report. Because if there's a soft jobs report, then it means that the market will perceive that as the Fed needing to slow down and needing to be less aggressive and less hawkish on the rate increases. If there's a good jobs report, then that means the Fed will be less concerned about increasing interest rates because of the effect that the increases thus far have had on the job market. That's really what today is all about. Okay, so soft jobs reports, we continue seeing dollar weakness. Good jobs report, we might see some dollar strength. Now, of course, that's the theory behind today's jobs report. It doesn't necessarily mean that's how it plays out technically. So be aware of the fact there's non-farm payrolls today, and just look at it from that perspective of soft is good for risk on, and a good jobs report, a strong jobs report, is good for risk off. Okay. In the meantime, of course, we do realize we've got a 7% inflation rate in America, and their target's 2%. So anybody who thinks that the Fed are going to slow down or the Fed are done really is not seeing the wood for the trees. But that's besides the point. So euro dollar currently neutral on QuantBox. Taking a look at technicals, we can see here yesterday we identified price opening at the M3, right? And we still said, be careful. I think we were over here yesterday morning in London. I said, be careful of selling at the M3 outright, because you got this higher high, higher low. Even though on a lower time frame, it certainly looked like we were sitting in a range, okay, like there. So I still said to you, don't just sell off the M3 because you think price is opening at the M3. That's not a good idea. You need to find the lower low, lower high on the lower time frame. And as you can see here, you never got that yesterday. You never got the break of the 55, coming back up for a double top, coming down for a lower low, coming back up for a lower high. So you had absolutely no reason to be selling euro dollar yesterday. So if you didn't sell because you're now employing this technique into your trading, congratulations, you didn't lose any money. In terms of buying, if you were a bull, then you would have bought down here based on the information we looked at earlier in the week. Well, I mean, that's a weekly M2. If you're a bull, that's definitely where you buy. All right, and if you trade pivot points and you're looking for higher highs and higher lows and lower time frames, then earlier this week you could have been buying off of that over there, right? Now you're probably wondering, we got price going so high up, and I've got no buys on my chart. And the reason is because of my fundamental bias. Okay, I'm a bull in the US dollar, just because of interest rates, because of high inflation, right? And so right now, price is going up. And yes, certainly so. I think I could have been long all the way down here. You can see there's opportunities to have bought off that roll reversal there. Certainly could have been long. I mean, I sold over here, if you guys remember. So I could have been long over there, but I wasn't, because of the fact that I was a bear on the euro dollar, a bull on the US dollar. And that's okay. Like, if you look at the past while, definitely making money down here, and then over here I'm waiting, right? That's me personally. I mean, it doesn't mean that you have to do the exact same thing, but if you were buying, then you are looking for consistent ways to trade, and that means you're looking for price to come off roll reversals, or in this case dynamic support, which is weekly M2. Okay. Ultimately, yesterday's trade, price being up here at the M3, you're not selling because you never got that lower low, lower high. And I think that's the key thing. Recognize that sometimes you're trading in the direction of your bias, and sometimes your bias might link up with a level of resistance. You might think to yourself like, oh, that's great. It's the end of the month, price is at an M3. I'm going to counter trade this. You got to verify that trade. So I hope that you didn't lose money on that sell yesterday, and you followed the advice that I gave for looking for a lower low, lower high on the lower time frame. Not getting that, meaning you didn't pull the trigger on that sell. So pound dollar, neutral on QuantBox. Okay, we've got no pound data coming out today, just that important jobs report out of the States. So you're paying attention to that. In terms of pound, sorry, one thing to talk about in terms of euro dollar before we move on. So you recognize that right now you've got this high, and you can say higher high, right? And you're at a profit-taking zone. Now, if you are a bull, you're looking to buy over there. These are perceived levels of support, right? What I'm doing is I'm looking at this and saying, I'm at a profit-taking zone. Can I sell here? And in order to sell here, what do I have to do? That's right. You guessed it. I need a lower low, lower high. Okay. So right now on the H4 time frame, you can see we don't have one. We haven't got price breaking support, closing at resistance. On the H1, we haven't got price breaking support, closing at resistance. On the M15, we haven't got price breaking support, closing at resistance. So in order to sell at this profit-taking zone, you're going to need that setup. The exact same setup that if you used yesterday would have avoided you selling at the M3. It's just your go-to, right? That's how you confirm bullishness and bearishness. If you're looking to sell, you simply say, well, if I've got lower lows and lower highs, then that means the market has told me it's currently bearish and I can sell at resistance. Until then, this is a perception. Okay, so but you are at a level where there could be bearishness. So now you just need to confirm it. In terms of buying up here, I'm not a fan. Okay. If I didn't buy over here, I'm not buying over here. Right. If I didn't buy down here, I'm certainly not buying over there. So all I have to do is sit here, just like yesterday, and look to see, have I got bearishness at resistance? If I don't, then I let it run. Now, if you were a trader who got in down here, then these situations here at the M3 or the weekly M4, you're simply looking to say, do I close these trades or can I let them run? And how you'd know if you're closing it is, do I have bearishness, i.e., has price broken support, has support become resistance, can I sell this down? Okay, so think of that entry for bears as an exit for bulls or an indication that you can continue letting your trade run. Okay. That's how I do things. So if I'm going to close, if I'm a bull and I'm buying and I'm going to close a trade, I think like a bear. Okay. Would I sell this? If I would sell this, then that's a good indication that I should get out of my buys or at least do some hedging. Of course, this is quite close for hedging. So I'd most likely end up closing my trades if that was what happened, right? One also recognize, well, where's the support that one would have to break to become resistance? Well, something can set up over here. A little range can set up over here, price breaks support, closes at resistance, that's totally fine. Or alternatively, you got these levels of support that have formed down here. Price can break that, pull back up, close that resistance, and then go down. Okay, cool. So in the meantime, you got this high, you got a profit-taking zone. Do you identify bearishness? Can you sell this down? And if you don't identify bearishness, then you don't sell it down because that means price is coming down to support, and this is still bullish. Okay. Groovy, pound dollar. So here we are. It's the same situation. We're doing the exact same thing. Okay. You've got price up here. Your support's down here. Can you identify bearishness at resistance? Okay. Right now, you can clearly see you got a sideways market. Look at the bottom of your range there. Okay. Price is chilling. This over here, do you have a double top? Has price broken the 55, come back up, double topped, and then dropped? Okay. If price doesn't double top on this time frame, price just sort of drops, then recognize this is a higher high, and then price coming down to make a higher low. Okay. That's why I prefer using the H4 time frame for the role reversal, because the M15, a lot changes in these 15-minute candles, which sit inside an hour, which sit inside 4 hours. I prefer looking over here and saying, well, do I have a lower low, lower high? And of course, if you were looking for higher highs, higher lows off of the 4-hour time frame, then you were totally fine, because you can see here, price coming off that support over there. And if that was your buying opportunity at a profit-taking zone, you're in that trade over there. Okay, so you could have totally waited for that to form on the 4-hour time frame. Very easy to see. You look at a lot less candles, a lot more strategic. And so I'm looking for the same thing up here. But that's just me, right? All I'm doing is just guiding in terms of the fact that lower lows and lower highs is what you're looking for. The higher the time frame, the more reliable the signal, okay? Like, for example, if you were looking for lower lows and lower highs in M1 chart, chances are you can get it, but then suddenly it'll look like price is trending bearish in M1, but then suddenly price finds support and shoots up. And you're like, whoa, hold on a second. Why did I lose that? I had lower lows and lower highs in M1. And the reason is because you were looking at a very, very, very tactical time frame. Get your strategy from higher time frames. Okay, cool. So that's that. Let's take a look at USD CAD. USD CAD coming through neutral now. Okay. Any Canadian news? Okay, we've got quite a bit of Canadian news. We've got an employment jobs report out of Canada at the same time, which usually happens. So taking a look at USD CAD, neutral. All right. You can see quite bouncy. Okay. So you, again, the previous day, taking price off the R2, I showed you how that trade would have worked in terms of a lower low, lower high, and you would have got out at the weekly central because the target for R2 is the central. And right now you're just chilling. And I said to you, like, the trade is over for the week. You can see here how we're just like sitting in this sideways nonsense. Okay, so nothing to do. I don't see anything standing out here on this chart that tells me what I want to do with this. Right, I've got no structure here. Okay, cool. Aussie USD, neutral. Okay, cool. Let's take a look and see. All right, so similar to the other pairs, we've now got a little range forming on the 4-hour time frame, so that's perfectly fine. If price breaks the support and pulls back to that resistance, well, that would be bearish. If price breaks out and doesn't test resistance and comes all the way down, price is looking for support. If price breaks up higher and doesn't test support as it breaks out, well, then even more reason for price to come down at some point in time. Okay. In the meantime, though, if price stays inside here, ain't nothing to do but be patient. Kiwi dollar USD, we got a buy, okay, across the board. So let's take a look. Would we purchase Kiwi dollar USD? I mean, you instantly look at that and say, no thanks, right? It doesn't necessarily mean it's a buy right now. It just means it's still fundamentally bullish. Okay, which is helpful if you bought down here. Okay, so same exact thing. You're at a profit-taking zone. Can you trade here? Can you sell this? Well, look for that lower low, lower high. Now, if I'm looking for a lower low, lower high in a 4-minute chart, that means it's a very long-term bias. If you realize you want to scalp this down, then you could rely on lower time frames. M15 could be your time frame. M5 could be your time frame. M1 could be your time frame, but remember, the lower down you go, the more tactical you get. Okay, so from an M15 perspective, you can see how price has broken the 55, has now come up, and it's currently sitting at that resistance over there. Okay, so if you were to say, well, am I double topping? Well, you could identify this as a place where double top could form. However, what you want to do is, instead of trading the double top, you want to rather do the 1, 2, 3, where you say, okay, well, if you are a double top, then price should drop. And if price drops, price will return. And if price returns, that's where you sell it. And that's that backup plan, that contingency that says, right, so if you are a double top, then show me that you're double top by falling. And the nice thing about that is you don't sell over here, and then price bounces around and shoots right through, and you end up losing that trade. Okay? Take that second step. Let price prove itself to you, right? Be a bit more discerning and less trusting. Forex traders should never wear their hearts on their sleeves. All right, let's look at Japanese yen pairs. All right, so neutral on the Aussie yen. Let's take a look at that Aussie yen for a second. So we're dropping down. We dropped down off that 21 yesterday. We saw that. We're like, okay, cool. Looking at the 4-hour yesterday, price coming off the 21, price pulling back up, back into the range, price dropping down. It's messy, okay? It's messy. Also, pay attention to the fact that, like, we are coming down. So do we reach profit-taking zone just to bounce back? I'm looking for an indication of trend on this pair. The fact that price broke through these resistance levels, then came down off this 21, one might look at that and say, well, that's definitely bearish, lower low, lower high. I'm saying, like, okay, well, where is the roll reversal here? This is 8 o'clock candle on the 30th. Price coming up, breaking resistance levels. It's messy, okay? It really is messy. So if this is at the start of a trend, you don't have to take the first lower high. If this is the start of a trend, then what will happen is price will come down, price will come back up and close at a role reversal. Because in a bearish trend, you don't just make one lower low and lower high. You make several of them. Go back and look at your dollar pairs, okay? Let's look at Aussie dollar USD, for example, on a daily time frame. Look at how many lower lows and lower highs we made as price was coming down, okay? Especially over here. If you go look at this range, which is something you could pay attention to in terms of comparing this to the yen pairs, which is last year's range. If you look at that range, you look at how price started trending. It wasn't one lower high, it wasn't two lower highs, it was several lower highs that started that move down, okay? So you can be patient, and price will always return back to the scene of the crime. And if it doesn't, you can pay attention to that and say, something is wrong here. So I want to see how this develops. Also, the key thing is like, yeah, we are out of position for sells, but let's see how this develops. Let's see price come down, price pull back up. Give me price closing at resistance, some kind of role reversal, okay? And make it stand out so I can then say, right, this is definitely trending bearish. For now, I still have my doubts. So we'll see how this forms and what happens on Aussie yen in the coming days. In terms of CAD yen, coming through neutral. So looking at CAD yen, okay, again, nice, right? Didn't do any buying down here. How did you avoid the buying? Because you never got the higher high, higher low, right? Fantastic. So looking at this over here, we can see price coming down, price coming down, price coming down. Lovely stuff. We've marked this off as a potential sell that could have taken place at a New York session last week, which you could be in right now. Alternatively, coming off of, see, in this situation here, we're breaking resistance. That's dodge, right? Also, where's my lower high? Why didn't price break the support, pull back up, test resistance, continue going down? It seems like that I can be completely wrong here. This is by no means a prediction, but it looks like the yen pairs are coming down to find support so they can come out and have one last rally before we start the new year. Because it's amazing how price opened out of position this month and we're just going down into support, right? Think of this from a weekly pivot perspective, how if you had price coming down on a Monday to the profit-taking zone, by the Thursday, you'd be right back up by the central. It seems like that's what's currently in play on the yen pairs. I want to see how this sets up. I want to see how this behaves. And what I'm looking for is give me my second lower high. Hasn't formed yet, had this range, price now come down. And if you look at this entire thing, it just looks like one move, right? Where's my pullback, sell, down, right? Cool. We'll pay attention to that. So going through to euro yen. Euro yen still a buy. Okay, cool. Taking a look at euro yen. We've got price coming down. Okay, sweet. So give me my second lower high. Give me my second lower high, price. Where is my lower high? And the more that price goes down without pulling back for a lower high, the more it indicates that price is looking for support down here. There might be a counter trend we can take down here for that December rally. We'll see what happens. Okay, we'll see what happens. Notice how price breaks the support and doesn't test it. Pay attention to those little signs of that indicate bias. Pound yen. Pound yen being a sell. Let's take a look. Okay, so again, where's my lower low, lower high? I don't see it. All right. And what's interesting is that if this was a yen thing, all the yens would be behaving in the same way, right? Yen strength across the board would look like yen strength across the board. Kiwi yen. Where's my lower low, lower high? So I'm interested in yen strength. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for yen strength on these yen pairs. Take the yens lower down. I'm not seeing yen strength. What I'm seeing is the currencies that are being paired with the yen behaving in a certain way that's causing those pairs to go down. I want to see yen strength across the board. On those pairs that have been going down, give me my second lower high, and I'm interested in calling those long-term bearish. In the meantime, I'm going to chill and wait. So your trades for today that you're paying attention to are your dollar pairs. You're looking for that lower low, lower high on these 4-hour charts. You could be looking at it from a lower time frame perspective if you're looking to sort of be short-term shorts, because these are still all technically bullish. And if you don't get that lower low, lower high, you're not going to do anything, friends. You're going to avoid losing money. You're noticing the same language I use every single day. Look for that lower low, look for that lower high. Make sure you're trading a trend somewhere, because that is how you identify bias. Okay, when price breaks support and support becomes resistance, that is a bearish thing. When price breaks resistance and resistance becomes support, that is a bullish thing. And the higher the time frame is that you identify that on, the longer term that bias is. Very important to pay attention to that and to use that in your trading. I wish you an amazing day. Good luck with NFP. I don't think I'll be posting a New York video today, because I don't think there'll be any kind of setups for New York. But if I see anything, then I'll be sure to post an update. Otherwise, I hope you have an amazing day, and I look forward to seeing you fine human beings on Monday. Have a lovely weekend, my friends. All the best. Goodbye. Oh, and stay patient, stay disciplined, stay liquid.